A2 Media Theories, Audience Theory. What is audience theory? These theories tend to focus on what the audience do with the media. Okay, so this is where theories are looking. There's a range of theories to do with audience theory. There's not one theory. And always remember there are various media texts and they're consumed in different ways and in different situations. Some media texts are made for a mass audience, while other texts are more specialised and are consumed by a niche audience. And we will look at that in class. There are 3 different ways media texts are consumed. Primary media, which demand close and concentration attention from the audience, so you have to pay attention to it. Secondary media, which provide a background to the audience, so there's something going on in the background while the audience are doing something else. And tertiary media, where the audience is unaware of their own engagement with the media, so they're unaware they're actually being affected by it. Your homework is to find one media industry or an example of a media text for each way that the media is consumed. The Frankfurt School. They express concern that the media influences the political views of the audience. They see the audience as passive consumers who consume media texts which are embedded with particular values and ideologies of the producers. Gerbner, 1956. He suggested that messages do not simply flow from the text into the audience. No, it's much more involved than that. He said that the audience discuss, debate and challenge the text, which reduce their power. Text. The other thing to remember is text can be seen as polysemic, deliberately constructed to be read in a number of different ways to appeal to a wide number of people. The uses and gratifications theory, Blumler and Katz, 1974. They highlighted how the audience use media text for many reasons. Okay, so this is the use part of the theory. They use it for sharing and discussing experiences with others, obtaining information about the world around them, and helping to gain identity. The gratifications that the audience gain from this can include finding a distraction or a diversion from the world, seeing authority figures inflated or exalted, seeing others make mistakes or make fools of themselves, and reinforcing a belief that justice will ultimately triumph. McQuail, in 1997, he summarised these motivations into the following: information, learning, personal identity, social interaction, and entertainment. Alternatively, it can be argued that regular programmes such as a soap opera is consumed for the following reasons: to provide a sense of routine, as a reward for doing some work, as a way of escaping loneliness, as an escapist fantasy, and to provide focus to think about or discuss social and moral issues. We will look at this more in class, okay, so don't worry. Shaun Moore, 1998, he also developed the theory as well. He argued that media texts allow the audience to perceive themselves as part of an imagined community. This is a community that exists in people's mind, basically, and gives them a sense of reality. The audience feel they have something in common with other imagined members of the audience. There are criticisms of the uses and gratifications theory. Critics highlight how the theory does not explain why different members of an audience interpret a text differently. Ang, 1985, identified gratifications of identification and fantasy as well, which are not covered in the other theory. For example, and then also you've got Hill in 2005, explored how gratifications from reality TV emerge from discussions around to what degree the programme has been staged, which therefore undermines the use and gratification theories already identified. So just that's some criticisms to be aware of. Other audience theories. Morley, 1990, saw media as an object that carries a meaning and a value which does not rely on its use. For example, a widescreen TV and an Apple iPod operate as status symbols. Okay. Silverstone, 1994, argued that television provides a sort of security and reassurance for many adults and young people, sort of like a security blanket. This idea is also applied to the internet, as the continuities of sound and image, of voices and music can easily be approached as comfort and security simply because they are there. So the idea of it being in the background makes you feel you're not alone, that it's actually some reassurance that they're not alone in the world. Couldry, 2004, developed the concept of the mobile audiences. Audience can visit places related to the media production, and so not only can they watch and listen to media texts in their own homes, but they all kind of visit places as well. Okay, such as the Ramsey Street store in in Australia to do with Neighbours, You can go to get signs at Albert Square in EastEnders, and you can go to the Television Centre and see a tour around there as well. Abercrombie and Longhurst, 2005, identified that there had been a shift in the audience's experience, allowing the boundaries between them and the producer of the media to become more fluid. For example, many new media like Facebook and Twitter rely on the audience to identify, literally construct them. Okay? Other areas of the media rely upon a high degree of audience input and participation, such as telephone voting on the X Factor and the confessions of audience members on the Jeremy Kyle show. Abercrombie and Longhurst suggests that as a result, many people live their lives as if they were players in a TV show, constructing narratives of their own of their relationships and family lives as if they were explaining them on television or the radio. And we'll look at this more in class. The active audience theory sees the audience as actively constructing interpretations and meaning for the media text they encounter. The active audience will bring their own individual experiences, values, ideologies, and identity to each text they encounter. Therefore, the text will be interpreted differently by different members of the audience. Media produces power. The number of facts which limit the audience or participants' power, though, this is sort of a criticism of the audience idea. Okay. The audience can only participate within carefully constructed and framed spaces, so the producer can limit what they get involved in. The programme's host or experts' views will be dominant. For example, they speak first, often stand in a dominant position in the frame, etc. The use of voiceover and narration emphasises the producer's power, giving them a privileged relationship with the camera. Editing, and they ensure that producers retain control of what is finally aired. It is edited in some way. The narrative and scenarios have been structured by the producers, remember, they're not free. Audience participation needs to be encouraged as it generates money and audience loyalty. However, the debate is whether audiences are actually empowered or not about whether they do participate. It's how much they actually are empowered by this.